we take a box of fish, 18 pounds, with all the limes, and it takes about 5 hours to make a good cook. That's at minimum. We usually leave it overnight, obviously. So yeah, the lime all over the fish. We'll cook it, again, without cooking it on the stove, or with heat. All right, so then we can mix it all together. And this will end up being ceviche that you can eat. So I have some here. Let's change gloves again. Can't put the raw with the cooked, right?
Right.
Better buy some larger gloves, huh?
And how long does the fish have to be with the lemon so you can eat it?
Right, we talked about that, so it depends on the quantity of the fish, and so we make a box of fish with a box of limes, and it takes at least minimum 5 hours to cook it. But usually we leave it overnight in the walk-in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so a good 10 hours.
What about for a smaller portion?
Smaller portions, it's a minimum of 3 hours,
3 hours?
minimum.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't wanna eat the fish uncooked, so it's a minimum of 3 hours.
Okay.
Especially with the undercooked shellfish and stuff like that. They make ceviche, they bistec. They make steak ceviche in South America, which we have South American Summer Series at the Mexican restaurant. So we feature countries of Brazil, Peru, Argentina, the foods, the desserts, and the cocktails and wines of the regions. We pair that with dance and music as well. Okay, so we'll make the ceviche that you're gonna eat. Today I brought the ceviche, some lettuce, and some tostadas that you guys will have for your cold appetizer.
Did you wash your hands, guys?
So we have the ceviche, it's already cooked. You can tell by the density, the consistency of the fish, and the color.
Hand sanitizer.
I washed my hands.
You wash your hands?
Yeah, when before I came in here.
We have the pico de gallo already chopped.
Good thing there.
A little bit more spice.
Heck yeah.
Spice is not spicy, right? Spice is just spice, it's flavor.
I want some mayonnaise. We don't like to start no electricity.
Who likes picante? Who likes spice?
I do.
It's surprising, a lot of Mexicans like spice up here in the north. But, of course, most do. Alright, so we'll mix this up here.
Because we're about
What does that mean? Serve. We're in their territory right now.
Usually, it doesn't come with a little lettuce, but I like a little lettuce on the bottom of mine. So there's your ceviche. Alright?
Nice.
I like it.
Hey.
Yeah.
You want ceviche?
And a burrito?
So what's the difference between a burrito, a burro, and a burro?
Dolly is a burrito.
A burrito is small, right? Ito. A burro is big, and a burro is like a donkey, right?
Burrito.
A burrito, a burro, and a burro. Who's a burro? Ella. You know, when somebody calls another person something, that's what they are themselves. Right?
Oops.
You're funny. Fuck that.
A little avocado on the top of your tostada.
Need that.
I also bought some chip salsa, guacamole, sour cream, and a little salad for you.
This thing. How much that? Don't say that. Oh, look how broke, right? So it's cheaper. Yes. I'm sorry.
That's a lot to just make shrimp. So we add a little fish.
Eat your food.
And it traditionally comes with fish. Seasoning though.
Good, my phone.
Do you guys have any questions for George Ferranti for the chef?
I'll show you folks. I don't even need it.
I don't know, but it's really good. Thank you.
So we have two parts of the restaurant. A restaurant has two parts. It has the front end and the back end. So most of the staff, they either work the front end or the back end. They don't really do both. We have front end servers, bussers, bartenders, barbacks, managers, assistant managers on the floor, right? Hosts, hostesses, differences between masculine and feminine. In the back, we have prep cooks, line cooks, sauté cooks, dishwashers, stockers. And so, so there's a lot of different jobs within the restaurant. And so I'm an owner, which is, above the manager, right? And so we need to know all the positions. That's why we start in from the dishwasher to the bussers, we move to the servers, we move to the back end, prep cooks, dishwashing, cooks, and then we grow and become managers, and then we become owners, hopefully, if we have the ambition.
Where did your restaurant originate from?
So, our original restaurant, my father had one in like the 80s in Phoenix. And then I started with him in 88 at La Placita Cafe at Fort Will and Swan. And I was like 9 years old then. So I would grab onto his leg and ride his foot, and I would do everything that he did. At 9 years old. Then I started cashiering about 11, started getting into the till, you know, and the money, and then I started making salsas and prepping at that age. And then I started making cocktails and stuff at about 14, 15. You know? That's when my life turned a little sideways. But it's fun. The restaurant business is fun. We get to meet all kinds of celebrities. We've had Harrison Ford, Calista Flockhart, Adam Sandler,
Oh, yeah, Adam Sandler's from here.
yeah, Patrick Picard, Ken Griffey Jr.
And then his sister lives here.
We used to have all the men's U of A basketball players like after every game. That was really fun. So we've had quite a bit of success.
Such a big athlete for
So that's about it, folks. That's what it is to be a restaurateur. It's a lot of, there's office work, there's marketing, there's accounting that we have to go over. There's these things called industry standards. Industry standards are what percentages we are supposed to spend on rent, on advertising, on food costs, on soft and alcoholic beverages, so we can have these costs, so we know that we're spending enough money to make a profit at the end. And then, we gotta fill the seat. The first thing about restaurants, my uncle's from Switzerland. That's where I did a lot of cooking schools. I did 5 summers in Switzerland. So he says, he's a very famous guy, he trained Gordon Ramsay, my Uncle Tom. And a couple other, Mario Battelli, a couple other guys that are big stars. And fill the seats. Just get the people to come, and then you can raise your prices and you can be okay. Just fill the seats.
And you and your uncle?
My uncle was the guy that introduced my father to the restaurant business. We're also actually professional golfers, my father and I.
Okay.
So he played on tour from in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and then he was invited to the European Senior Tour in the 90s, and he was the first American to win on the European Senior Tour. So he played over there for 10 years, and I caddied for him. That's how we got to know Europe. And that's how I got to go to school over there. And there he is.
Hi.
So, and another important thing that I saw when I went to your restaurant first time is that you are always asking to the customers if they are good, if they like the food. So you always have contact with your customers. So I think that's also very important when you go to a restaurant and the owner goes to your table and talks to you.
It's very nice, yeah, that we have a relationship with our customers, that we have repeat customers and a relationship with them so they keep coming back. But, you know, we speak to our servers and our bussers most importantly, which some of our bussers are 16, 17 your age, you know? And we say, you guys are as important as we are, because you have a lot of contact with the customers, even more than us. So we appreciate your service, and everybody, nobody's really higher or lower, it's just we're all a team. They have a lot of relationship with our customers, the bussers and servers. They request them a lot, and it's very nice. And that's what you have in a nice family restaurant that doesn't have corporate, you know, relations and structures. You have a higher quality ingredient most of the time, and stuff like that.
Y'all want anything else while you're at it?
Well, I'm glad you guys are enjoying it all. That's good.
Delicious.
It's a little tricky to eat, to cook for younger folks, you know, they have a palate that, likes a little something else, but, glad you guys enjoyed
Just
it.
little kids from that.
Chicken
tenders and fries.
Uh-huh. I'm glad, yeah, it's definitely a treat with the lime, you know, it makes it taste very good, huh?
Do you want that?
And so one day I told her, hey, I would like you to talk to my students and tell them all the stories that you have, tell me, because I want them to know about your life and learn a little bit, so about, she struggled for a little bit in some stuff, and now she's a very successful person, so I want her to share that story with you guys. So please give her an applause, and thank you to George for the meal.
Thanks for having me.
That was amazing food. Okay, so I have a bunch of chicken scratch. I'm a talker, okay, so like I wanna try to stay on track with the story, but I'll probably just come here and reference. Jenny, thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
When my friend invited me to come speak to you guys, I actually got really, really nervous, cause as I started, she said, well, I want you to talk about where you are, where you've been, your struggles, and I started writing everything down, and I was like, I don't wanna just come and just feel like I wasted my breath or for anybody to feel that way. I really, really got nervous about trying to give you guys something that you could take that you may have never heard or something of value to you guys. So, hopefully my story will inspire or touch one of you guys, but I wanna tell you a little bit about my background, and actually before I go into that, I wanna tell you a little bit about where I'm at. But the next conversation I'll have after this is the struggle building up to it. So, I'm a residential real estate licensee here in Tucson, Arizona. And I'm also the vice president of a referral group. We have 3 chapters. I belong to the board of directors of the Arizona Diaper Bank. I am part of the American Heart Board, Care Fund, and just a bunch of nonprofit stuff. But I also love singing, and music has been a very big part of my life. So when I met Jenny and a couple times, or when we reconnected, I was singing at St. Philip's Plaza. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that's at, but they'll have different festivals. And I heard that you know Leti Ortiz. You know Leticia Ortiz? You? Okay.
She does.
Someone.
The lady,
Okay, nuestra hora con Leti. So tomorrow I'm gonna help run her show. So I do some commercials, I run some programs, I'm on Arriba Tucson. Next time you guys go to Nogales, does anybody here go to Nogales, Mexico? Yeah? So we are gonna be on a billboard, on the digital billboards in the crossing back, and then we have one in Nogales, Arizona. From TV shows to singing to commercials and all this other stuff, when I started looking at everything I've done, I was like, wow, when I think about success, what that is, I feel like I've accomplished a lot right now. However, I think if you would have asked me 5 years ago where I thought I would be, I would have never even imagined that I would do anything, a fraction of everything that I've been able to do. So, today I would say I'm a very outgoing, friendly person. I love to go to events. I love doing stuff. I love networking. That's how I met George Ferranti. But I never really felt growing up that I deserved any type of success. And today I want to focus on that. I'm this little girl that grew up in Douglas. I grew up in a poor family with a single mother, and she took care of me and my sister. So my father was not around, and the few times that I got to see him, it was when he was either drunk, coming home and arguing with my mom, or just fighting about us in some way, shape, or form. So I didn't grow up in an environment where my parents told me, you should do this, or you should go to school, or you should behave. I grew up with a single mother just leaving me everywhere, having people taking care of us, and with a lot of alcoholism in the family. So I don't know about you guys, if you guys are familiar with that, but they say that when it runs in the family, it's something that you can inherit, and something that just runs in the family. So I didn't realize that how much that would run in me until I was much, much older. My mother got divorced when I was 7. She moved, and we were in Mexico. She moved to Douglas, Arizona, and then she became a Jehovah's Witness. I don't know how much you guys know about religion, but so we got really detached from the family, and then it was just people taking care of us while my mom was absent, trying to make a living so that we can survive. So I grew up with a very big desire to have my mom present, and I felt very alone. I felt my whole life that I didn't really have a lot of support, and I feel that a lot of us that grow up in that environment, we grow up really angry. We grow up really frustrated. We grow up with anger issues, and we get criticized through going to school with our friends, and some of us, we have tempers, or I was a very angry child, and it was a lot to do with the alcoholism I was around as a kid, and then also as a semi-grown up in my teens, seeing that my mom was not available, we were always just left at places. So I didn't see all of this happening, but I got into my teens. The day I turned 18, I said, that's it. I want nothing to do with my mother. I want nothing to do with my family. I'm gonna move to the big city of Tucson. And I'm gonna do whatever I want, whenever I want. Nobody's gonna tell me what to do. I couldn't wait to get out of my house and just do whatever the heck I wanted, because Jehovah's Witnesses didn't allow us to celebrate, they didn't allow us to do anything, and so now I could do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. So I finished high school, I came to Tucson, and I started in the restaurant business. I didn't start in such a sophisticated restaurant like the one my friend has here, but I started in the fast food industry. So the first thing I will tell you is I moved out here with a cousin of mine, and it was 3 of us in this little studio. And for the first time, I remember that first week, at night, I was freezing because they had the AC on, blowing it, and I got sick. And at the end of the day, I just realized that nobody cared. If I felt okay, if I didn't, if I was sick, if not. And so that was the first thing that started me to remember, the caring of our parents, right? My mom may not have been around too much during the day, but she was worried if I was warm, if I had eaten, there were some things that were starting to feel like, okay, well, maybe I didn't have it so bad. But there was no looking back. So I stayed here. I could tell you I probably worked at like 7 different fast food restaurants, just trying. I felt very, very lost. I started working through a lot of different ones, and then I started making a lot of friends here. And guess what type of people I started hanging out with?
Alcoholic people?
Ah, yes. Yeah, very good. So, as today, a lot of what I've seen is that when we grow up, even if we don't want to, we start really referencing our circumstances, our upbringing, what they teach us, our caretakers, whether they're our parents, our grandparents, our tias, our tios, whoever has the most presence in our life is gonna be the people that we kind of become like. And I think that through our teenage years, we rebel about it. We're angry, we wanna do what we want. And that's exactly what I did. But little by little, I started hanging out with all these people, and they were not just alcoholics, they were doing other stuff. So, I didn't say that I loved, or I think I did say that I love singing. So one of the things that has been present my whole life is that I sang since I was a little girl. So now fast forward, I'm 18, I've been through 7 different fast food restaurants. I'm just living through life. I'm like, okay, I'm partying it up. I'm doing everything that I couldn't do when I was at my mother's house. And all of a sudden, it just gets really, really empty. Because I keep meeting these guys that are jerks. And I'm like, what is going on? What did I do to deserve this? Why am I attracting all these men? And right now, men or women, you're like, why am I attracting these jerks or these people that aren't ready, that aren't on my same page? Fast forward to now, again, that reference. How were my parents with me, right? So I'm searching subconsciously for the same thing that I had when I was little. And I kept dating people that referenced when I thought about it. My father, alcoholics, and they were emotionally unavailable. They were players. And I thought I was the one attracted. So, fast forward, I'm going from restaurant to restaurant to restaurant. I'm drinking. I'm going out with my friends. I'm just, estoy desatada. Does anybody know what that means? Anybody speak Spanish? No, okay. Well, I'm a big rebel. Let's just put it out. I'm doing everything, and I get to a point where I'm just like, what am I gonna do with my life? Is this it? I'm seeing other people finish school, my little sister, my mom's asking me, what are you doing with your life? And so I decide that I wanted to try something. So I went back to school. I went to Pima Community College. I took a little course because I wanted to do something with my life. And I end up at a hospital working. And so my life seems like it's getting better, and I'm doing something positive, and all of a sudden I meet this guy. And he sweeps me off my feet, and he asks me to marry him. And I do. We started a band together. And so I started singing at clubs. So way back when, it was a really big deal for people to have bands playing at night. And then all of a sudden, 6 years later, DJs took over. So, a funny story, I became a musician. Me and my ex-husband would sing, and we were the life of the party, so I felt like a superstar. I felt like on top of the world. I'm like, okay, I got a good little job at the hospital, and I can sing, and people love me, and everybody's like, oh my God, Kasandra, we love you. And it was so fun. I felt on top of the world for a little while. And then all of a sudden, the music industry is no more, and DJs are now the thing. So I said, what do? I need to keep up, so I become a DJ. I was one of the first DJs in Tucson, Arizona. There was barely any women doing any DJing. Right now we have a bunch of people doing it. But I became a DJ, and it was so fun. I mean, I met a lot of people. But life went like this, and I hit 30. Okay, and I remember this day. Now, let's go back to when I told you I grew up in a family that was alcoholics. I went and I did whatever I want, and I started hanging out with all these people people, and then I get into the music industry. What kind of people do you think I met? Every kind, right? What do you think? I mean, DJs and musicians and all of that world, what does that have to offer mostly? A lot of fun, right? They say a lot of just wasting away life. So this was most of my life. I never thought I was gonna do absolutely anything other than just be some stupid little DJ somewhere, and that was it, and that was my life, that was my value. I never had a parent tell me, you can be more than that. You can do more than that. You can have people respect you, not just be like, hey, oh, you're here for the party. Like, that was as much value as I had to offer anybody. And so, what I've learned is that I was in this huge puddle of victim mindset my whole life because nobody taught me, nobody told me I could, and so I just wasted away a lot of time. But come age 31, I was at a club, and I was DJing, and it was this like really cool girls' night, and pin-up girls, and I was a DJ, and all of a sudden these 3 girls like come at the end of the night. It's like 1:15 in the morning. I'll never forget it because these girls were just like, can you put our song again? And they were gone. And it was like the 3rd time they were asking me for the same song, and I was so exhausted. I was tired. Nobody had offered me a drink. I hadn't eaten. I dragged and hauled my own equipment, and I'm 30, and I'm like, what the heck am I doing out here with my life? With all of these people that don't even care about me, right? They don't even know me. They're mad because I didn't put their own song, and I'm 30 years old. So after that day, I started realizing and noticing all the habits that I've created, and I decided that I wanted to be something more. I wanted to be something more than a DJ. I wanted to be respected. I wanted people to look up to me. You want to say bye?
Thank you, guys. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay in school. Listen to her. She's got good stories. Bye.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Ciao. Thank you.
So
Thanks.
I decided that I was at the hospital for 11 years, and I was like, I want to do something more. I want to be someone. I remember that some people would go into the hospital, and they were all dressed up, or they had a suit on, and they looked important, and they walked into a room, and everybody paid attention. And I wanted to be that. I'm like, but it just seems so far. Like, I can never be that. How can I ever be that? Nobody ever put a little seed in my head that I could be anything other than just a worker somewhere. I didn't go to school. I didn't go to college. What do I have to offer? Being a DJ for the rest of my life? Can you imagine being 80 and DJing? That'll get old. So I mean, you can do it as a hobby, but so I decided to apply elsewhere. And as soon as I did that, the only places that called me were sales jobs, okay? And I was like, I think I was making $20,000 a year, and I had a set little paycheck. I had my benefits, and and I had my 8 to 5, and it was for certain. How could I leave that for? There was no guarantees about nothing. I had to get a license to sell insurance, and then bless you, and I had to go find my own clients. So I went to this place, and there was this one guy that I was so blessed to have met him, and hopefully I can transfer that, because I feel like that changed my life, because nobody had ever told me. And I think that it stems a lot from our culture. A lot of times in Hispanic, very humble families, I grew up with a mother that can only give me as much as she knows. And nobody ever tells us, you can actually be somebody that you want to be, somebody that you're proud to be. And it seems so far, but it's so true. And this guy said, you have so much potential. If you just gave yourself a chance, you could be making hundreds of thousands of dollars. You don't have to settle for what you have. You don't have to, and it's true. And that guy, for the first time I felt in my entire life, someone actually believed that I could be more than what I was. And I have never had that. So, I'm really sober a couple years now, but I realized that drinking doesn't, in my opinion, this is fully my opinion, I don't believe drinking stems entirely from a necessity scientifically more than it does from our pain of our upbringing, from the people that mistreat us, from the people that do bad stuff to us. I think that it stems from an area of deep, deep cuts in our roots that we don't face them, and so then we just want to numb them. And I think that when you start working on yourself as a human being, when you start digging on why you are how you are, maybe I'm very loving because my mother didn't give me enough love. Maybe I'm quick to get angry because I have a lot of energy, and if somebody upsets me, I have to check myself. But why? Because maybe I wasn't acknowledged as much as when I was a child. But when you start learning all of these things about yourself, you now have different options to respond. And it took away, as I started doing more work on myself, I mean, I went to AA, I went to conferences. Have you guys ever heard of Tony Robbins? Tony Robbins is a huge motivational speaker. I really sober a couple years now, but I realized that drinking doesn't, in my opinion, this is fully my opinion, I don't believe drinking stems entirely from a necessity scientifically more than it does from our pain of our upbringing, from the people that mistreat us, from the people that do bad stuff to us. I think that it stems from an area of deep, deep cuts in our roots that we don't face them, and so then we just want to numb them. And I think that when you start working on yourself as a human being, when you start digging on why you are how you are, maybe I'm very loving because my mother didn't give me enough love. Maybe I'm quick to get angry because I have a lot of energy, and if somebody upsets me, I have to check myself. But why? Because maybe I wasn't acknowledged as much as when I was a child. But when you start learning all of these things about yourself, you now have different options to respond. And it took away, as I started doing more work on myself, I mean, I went to AA, I went to conferences. Have you guys ever heard of Tony Robbins? Tony Robbins is a huge motivational speaker. I